Landscaping with native plants, Northeast U.S., perennial sun gardens. The first 4 perennials native to the northeastern United States featured are all good plants to grow in wet areas of your landscaping. 2 of them, in particular, are typically found growing near water in the wild, namely, northern blue flag and marsh marigold. Another that is commonly found growing in moist conditions is the horsetail plant. Names can be deceiving, and plant names are no exception. Some of the native plants on this list have names that make them sound like they come from the seedy part of town. Does Joe-Pye weed deserve to be classified as a weed? Or is this stately plant with fluffy mauve flower clusters deserving of a spot in perennial sun gardens? Only you can decide. But if you're the type influenced by what the avant-garde have to say, take note that many designers hold Joe-Pye weed, Eupatorium maculatum, in high regard. Yarrow, Achillea millefolium, is native both to North America and to Europe. This fact has given rise to questions as to the provenance of some Yarrow communities in the former. According to Doug Ladd, some scientists think that most North Woods populations are introduced European weeds, while others believe most local Yarrow plants are native to the region. p.161. Those of you who aren't sticklers for such details will be more interested to know that this common wildflower is easy to grow, it's not easily deterred by poor soil and is considered a drought-tolerant perennial. Although black-eyed Susans are rugged, the Culver's root is every bit as upper echelon in the category of tough plants. It is also one of 4 native perennials covered in this article that is tall enough to make an impact in the background even when smaller plants or other objects occupy the foreground, the other 3 being Joe-Pye weed, common milkweed, and goldenrod. The last 3 native perennials on this list come into their own in late summer or early fall, depending on the specific type grown, where you live, and the growing conditions present. Many North Americans despise goldenrod, a native perennial that grows in thick stands, forming a monoculture. Giving the naysayers the benefit of the doubt, their disdain might be because goldenrod is so common. Don't people often take for granted the things closest to them? Despite its common name, this treat for late summer and early fall is native to most of North America, not just the New England states. Although people commonly call this and similar plants asters, they are also part of the overall aster family. This family of flowers is the North's largest. Among the plants mentioned above, alone, the following are all members of the aster family. Like the northern blue flag and marsh marigold, the purple pitcher plant likes water. If you ever encounter it in the wild, many never do, you have to be willing to get off the beaten path to find it. It will likely be in a swampy area. Watching the development of its flower annually is priceless. Pokeweed is attractive, but the purple berries, its best feature, aesthetically, are quite poisonous, so beware if young kids will be playing in the yard. This is an herbaceous perennial that can get quite tall, 8 feet, under the right conditions, namely, partial sun, ample water, and a fertile loam. A large pokeweed plant covered with racemes of berries in fall is an impressive sight. The common name, Marsh Marigold, for Caltha palustris is both revealing and deceiving. The marsh part of the name accurately reveals its tolerance for soggy soil, which is a trait that makes it a logical choice for a ground cover to use around a water feature for spring color. It is not, however, a true marigold. Balm cultivars have become so popular in landscaping that many people who live in regions where balm is a native perennial might not readily recognize it as such. However, residents of Oswego, New York, should know the difference. Due to the fact that the Oswego Indians concocted a medicinal tea using the leaves of bee balm, Monarda didyma, a nickname for this plant is Oswego tea. Black-eyed Susans, Rudbeckia hirta, are tough and make good full sun plants. They tolerate considerable neglect, although you surely can improve their appearance in your perennial sun garden by supplying a modicum of TLC. As is often the case with tough plants, black-eyed Susans, under some conditions, can be even more carefree than you want them to be. In fact, some gardeners have called them thuggish. Wild violets, Viola sororia, don't have weed in their common name, but they might as well, in the opinion, at least, of many homeowners who lump them together with other common lawn weeds and wage war upon them. But, what's not to like about a flowering ground cover with a pretty bloom and that requires no maintenance? Columbine Aquilegia comes in many colors, and this one shown is a yellow cultivated type. But the native type that qualifies Columbine for inclusion in this article is red A. Canadensis. You can often see it growing on rocky cliffs in New England. Columbine is one of those swing plants, at least at the northern end of its range. You can use it in perennial sun gardens, but if you're willing to tolerate reduced flowering, it will also work in areas with partial shade. Azure Bluets Houstonia caerulea are the whatchamacallit of the plant world in eastern North America. The range of this omnipresent native perennial stretches from the northern reaches of Quebec to the southern tip of the toe of Louisiana. This tiny ground cover spills across roadsides far and wide in great drifts, although people are only aware of it in the springtime when it's flowering. Its ubiquitousness notwithstanding, hardly anybody knows what it's called. Just by reading this article, you know something that 99+% of people do not know. While some people find a sort of odd beauty in the flowers of common milkweed, Asclepias syriaca, most gardeners grow it with butterflies in mind. Specifically, common milkweed plays host to the wormy young of the prized monarch butterfly. If you're not riddled with entomophobia, you might even enjoy watching the caterpillars themselves eating the milkweed vegetation. Asclepias tuberosa is also a kind of milkweed, albeit one not quite as well known to the general public as the prior entry. Gardeners, however, are well acquainted with this native perennial. Its lively orange flowers have made it more successful commercially than its more demure cousin. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more interesting videos. And please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm.